What I learned is that the Hoover Dam is actually supplying electricity to Los Angeles, to California.
Yeah. That makes good sense.
They paid for it, so.
No, the U.S. paid for it, not California. That was a huge. That project is. So here's the way you can put the Hoover Dam into perspective. I can build a 2-lane highway, so that's 4 lanes really, from L.A. to New York City, with the concrete they used in the Hoover Dam. That kind of puts things into perspective. And by the way,
now it's drying up.
Oh,
the whole thing is drying up.
No, they had some rain, and so, but at the end of the day, those things last for 80 years. A nuclear power plant.
Yeah.
As long as they're designed by, in France, 90% of their power is nuclear. So.
Yeah.
So anyway,
just across the border, the Germans are shutting them down. So that's crazy.
Well, yeah, because they want to be invaded by Russia. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Yeah.
Ready to go?
Sure. Yeah. Anything.
Short intro. So I'm here again with not the great, but I would say the greatest in the automotive industry.
I don't
Munro.
think so.
Because we've been testing your skills in the past year. You've been making some predictions. You could call yourself, I don't know, the Nostradamus of the automotive industry now.
Well, I've been right a lot, and that's because I don't listen to Wall Street. It's really easy to find out what's happening in the world if you're an engineer and you take the cars to pieces. It's easy. You look at the bits and pieces, and you can see Tesla is leading the way here, and BYD is leading the way there, and in some cases, like Ford, who would have guessed it, is leading the way in another area. I mean, it's easy if you're in the industry. It's tougher if you're sitting in an office in New York and somebody says, "Oh, we got to have an article written." "Oh, really? Oh, well, yeah, I'll handle that." And I write something. And as a rule, I'm 180 degrees different than what they are. So actually, one thing happened in Bloomberg just a little while ago. One of their writers came out and said that BYD is now taking over, for being the.
I heard that it was getting viral, but it's not true, isn't it?
Well, here's the deal. In the last quarter of last year, yes, BYD beat Tesla, but through the whole year, no, Tesla beat BYD. But BYD has a lot more impetus. They've got a lot more going on, so they will ultimately. And if you look at I did a video just about a month ago with Elon Musk, and in there I said, well, I think that BYD is going to become the biggest car company on the planet, and I'll put money behind that anytime, because quite frankly, it's true. These guys know what they're doing. I spent from 2014 to 2019 in China, and I worked with most of the car companies that people are talking about now: Geely, BYD, Beijing Automotive, Chery, whatever. We taught their people how to design product, toured their factories, made recommendations for manufacturers. These guys were really into it. They knew what they were going to be doing, and they got tired of being the servant, and now they're the master. And that's what winds up happening. If you do a good job training the servants, they'll take over. So I think
I could see that around the West Hall here and around CES, there is a bunch of Chinese cars. I want to get to that in a moment. After, I'm going to say again that you predicted that Model Y is going to be the best-selling car in the world in 2023, and it was.
Yes.
What about 2024?
Yes, I believe that. The Model Y, I think, is the best electric vehicle out there, and then I go one step further. I think it's the best car out there. If you're going to buy a car, and you want to have the best driving experience, if you want to have the lowest cost of ownership, why would you pick anything else? I mean, some people don't want to do it because I don't like Elon Musk. Okay, fine. Go and do whatever you want to do. That's just spite. Or you could say, well, I've been driving Fords for my whole life. Okay, fine. Go ahead and do that. But at the end of the day, the best vehicle out there for total accounted cost, cost of ownership, and driving experience, and just overall sedan, or they call it an SUV, but I don't believe it. But anyway, overall driving experience, I think the Model Y is the best thing out, and I'm very good at guessing, as you mentioned.
Yes. In the past year, Model Y has surpassed in Europe cars that are twice or 3 times cheaper.
Yes. Everybody's looking for that. Well, let me rephrase that. The newspapers are looking for the cheap car because that's the thing that they think is what drives people. But the average car sale in the United States is 40 grand, not 25 grand. So everybody's got this impression that we have to help the poor. No, the poor don't want to buy a brand new $25,000 car. What they want to do is they want to buy a $40,000 car at $25,000. And that's the difference. Yes. And whenever I get into discussions with, again, I throw a lot of rocks at analysts, and they deserve it. Every time I get into an argument, it's the same thing. Do you drive? Well, I have in the past. Do you drive? I don't have a license right now, but forget it right there. Stop right there. Yeah. If you don't play the game, if you don't play the game, don't make the rules. Simple as that. I don't give a damn about your forecasting and all. It doesn't mean a thing to me. I just took that car apart. I took this one, that one, and this one apart. I looked at them all, and guess what? That's the best one. Where did you get your data? Well, we analyzed the financial blah blah and guessed it. That's all crap.
That's what we hear also in Europe, that the 25,000 euro car is the one that's going to sell best. But again, we have that kind of cars in the market. They were outsold by the Model Y. What about the Model 3? We the Highland is here. We have the refresh. Is it going to do any better for the brand?
It might. That would be my second choice for a vehicle. It costs a little bit less. It's a little tighter, and I think basically, again, you're looking at the total experience of driving, the total cost of driving. It's hard to beat. It's hard to beat that. I mean, there's very, very few things out there. Like, so I have a bunch of different ones that people ask me about. Well, if I don't buy that, what else is there?
Exactly.
So Geely, I like almost every one of their products. Geely and Volvo are the same cars. I like those. I like the Ford Mustang. If you're going to buy that, I still think that
the Mach-E.
The Mach-E, yeah. I still think that Ford's got the best pickup truck. If I'm a worker, that's what I want. I want the Lightning.
But have you heard that Ford is losing money with every Mach-E they sell? Is that true? Like $25,000 per car?
$25,000 per car? Okay, so there's a lot of different ways to figure out how much a car costs. One of them is to add the investment costs, okay? So now I have to eat all the investment costs that came for a brand new vehicle. They don't make any money for 4 or 5 years, okay?
They'll not be making money for the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, and they won't, because normally what we do is we look at the piece cost and the labor cost and say there's the cost of the vehicle. We don't usually take into account the cost of investment, because it's the investment that got us to where we are.
Yeah.
Now there'll be a return on investment after every car we sell. So, and quite frankly, like I said, I trust very, very, very little that comes out of the press. They don't know what they're talking about as a rule. There are some guys like John McElroy was running around here. He's a guy that you can.
Okay.
And even he and I had a lot of arguments about what's going to happen with electrification. But now he's on board and he's moved in that direction. But there's others. I mean, there was some sort of a big deal. Somebody tried to drive from Chicago to New York, and they're going on about range anxiety and whatnot.
Yeah. That's a whole thing.
Okay, so here's the deal. I drove from Detroit to LA to San Diego to Fremont, California, Eugene, Oregon, straight across the whole United States to Brownsville, interviewed Elon Musk, and then straight back to Detroit. Never had any range anxiety ever. 8,500 miles, that'd be about 12,000 kilometers, something like that. No, even more than that.
You still like driving that much?
Yeah, and I did it in 8 days. Or sorry, 11 days, 8,500 miles. Yeah, I didn't have any range anxiety.
Of course.
And we were being chased by a blizzard. There was a blizzard coming across the plains, and we still. I don't get it. This is strictly a marketing trick to try and kill electrification of vehicles.
Or at least slow it down until the big guys catch up.
They can't catch up. That isn't going to happen.
I agree.
They just went for a hiatus right now. That's why everybody has decided they're going to cancel the battery. Well, that and the fact that the union really took them to the cleaners. So they've got a lot of issues that they're going to have to take care of. But really and truly, the big problem, as far as I can see it, is that they just do not have the support of Wall Street. And if you don't have that, you'll lose your job. Wall Street fires more executives than anything. Nothing can fire an executive faster than Wall Street.
Yeah, but again, you said that we are in a hiatus. We still see the big brands coming and doing the rounds, having big shows. I'm even looking at the guys at Mercedes here. They put on a big show.
Yeah, what do they got there?
What did they got here?
Yeah, I was kind of hoping you weren't going to ask anything because, quite frankly,
That's a big show, and that's it.
That's it. That's not enough.
And
when somebody comes along
see
and
a
talks
prototype of the EQG, but I've seen one on the street. Someone sent me photos of a working vehicle. It's a box on wheels. Come on, that's not going to work as an electric vehicle.
I've said it in the past that I think that most of these guys use the B team to create electric vehicles, right?
Yes.
They're still hoping for the good old days to come back. I mean, they probably have probably have seances or something. I don't know what they're hoping for, magic, that the good old days are going to come back. It just doesn't work that way. Time marches on.
Yeah.
I mean, when's the last time you seen a whalebone corset? When's the last time you saw anybody walking around with a kerosene lamp? Who rides a horse to work? I mean, maybe a cowboy, that's about it. None of this shit's coming back. None of it. Stone axes, I haven't seen the last stone axe I saw was in a museum. These guys...
There's people throwing arrows, but just for fun.
Yeah, exactly.
But in the same hall, we're here at CES in the West Hall, right across, a stone's throw from the Mercedes, there's a parked Neo.
Yeah, Neo.
ET7, the 150 kilowatt hour semi-solid state battery with an interior that's second to none.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one?
Yeah, we walked by and looked at it. So, and I'm glad you said semi-solid state because they keep saying solid state and it's not.
It's not.
I haven't really seen a true solid state battery in production. I've seen solid state batteries, not in production. And the closest I've come to seeing something that doesn't have a lot of fluid in it is the new 4680 battery, the dry cell battery.
Okay.
That's when we're going to be getting the Cybertruck sometime in mid-November, and the first thing that we do is attack the battery pack, and I'm going to pull one of those out. Now we've taken the old 4680 batteries and analyzed those. This one will be a little different if there's no solvents that were used or it doesn't have a lot of electrolyte in it.
So you suspect it's not the same battery technology like the Model Y?
Not at all. I got a tour on Investor Day. I was part of I got in, and I walked by where they were making the batteries, and they had one battery line that was the old 4680, which does have solvents and a lot of electrolyte and whatnot. And that was going on, and just for talking, let's just say it was that long. And then I saw the new one, the dry cell, and it was this long. And the reason for that is because I don't have to reclaim all those solvents and all the other stuff that I'd really rather not have inside the process. If you don't use it, you don't have to try and reclaim it. That brings the price down and on and on.
So battery technology is advancing. We're getting to semi-solid state and then solid state. The battery in the Neo is 520 kilo for 150 kilowatts. So that's roughly
That's pretty good.
360 watt hour per kilogram.
Yeah.
That's great. That's
That's
amazing.
fabulous. It really is good, and I applaud them. I'm hoping that others will be moving in that direction as well. I also heard from volumetric standpoint, so we talked about the gravimetric, but the volumetric, it's smaller. And I haven't had a chance to go over there and examine it because yesterday I had a lot of interviews. So yeah, it was interesting. So I didn't get a chance to do everything I wanted to do yesterday, but today I've got an hour after you, and I'm going to be wandering around looking at Neo is one of the things on my list.
Then it's the Galaxy E8 from Geely.
Geely. Okay, so the Galaxy I saw at Volvo, they had one there. So Galaxy is really spectacular
For a $25,000 car.
Oh man, I can't hardly believe it.
$25,000 car for a car that has a real world range of 400 kilometers.
400, yeah. And quite frankly, when you take into account that the average American never drives much more than about 75 kilometers per day, why do I need 500 miles or whatever that is? That would be, but
because those analysts say talk a lot about range anxiety. So range anxiety, you need a bigger battery.
Well, here's the deal. Again, we go back to the analysts, where they live in New York. Do they have a car? No. Do they ever go 500 miles? Yes. They go 500 miles on an airplane. They get in an airplane and fly, or they get on a train or a commuter train or whatever. They shouldn't be allowed. They should talk about things that they know about, which I don't know.
Looking at these Chinese brands, I can see a huge improvement, not only in build quality, which they already have. I'm sure that the batteries are good and all of that, but I'm looking at the infotainment systems that actually work now.
Yeah.
I've seen in the Galaxy E8, I've seen a 42-inch screen, 8K, powered by Snapdragon. And now the Qualcomm Snapdragon that was in the BMW i7 for the first time is now expanding into who wants to buy it, who wants this. So it's the $25,000 car I told you about, it's got a Qualcomm in it.
So if we head down there, I forgot, it's an acronym, OH, something, I can't remember. Hey Tom, what's the name of the OH whatever, the guys that have got the screens over on the
BOE?
What?
BOE.
BOE. BOE.
That's the guys.
Yes, BOE is kicking everybody's ass. That's really superb technology.
I've played games in the $25,000 car.
Really?
Yes, games with a controller. I was racing the other guy on the right, on that huge screen in the car, in a Chinese car.
Wow. Okay, so that means edge computing, which is one of the things that I'm looking for and not seeing a whole lot here. For true, like automatic driving and whatnot, you have to have a lot of sensors, and they have to be not fast, not milliseconds, but instantaneous.
Okay.
The only way to do that is by having edge computing to get rid of any of the inefficiencies that might be there because of cabling or things like that. But I'm not seeing as much here as what I'd see gamers, phones, tablets. That's where the real.
The Polestar 3 is here on display, and it runs on the latest Android Automotive OS, which is also very, very snappy. So for infotainment, I think they kind of solved it, but I agree. I've seen a lot of companies talking about that if you want level 2 or level 3, most of the OEMs are not ready for it. They don't have the technology, even after all these years.
Well, they have the technology, but now it means that I've got to make an investment, and we can't do that because the guys on Wall Street will take my job away. It's as simple as that. If you make investments, the way that Wall Street looks at things, anytime you make an investment, well, that's money that the investors they didn't get
This year.
Well, this year, and they don't even look at a year. They look at a month, sometimes a quarter. They don't like looking at a whole year.
How can you make a business looking at the next month?
They don't care about the business. They care about the return. They care about the money that they're going to get next quarter. That's what they're looking at. They don't care about long term. That's why they hate Tesla. There's two groups that absolutely hate Elon Musk, Tesla, whatever. One group is the analysts, because they always show up wrong, or almost always. And the ones that have bet on Tesla and made shitloads of money, they're like ostracized from the rest of the group. The second group is the media, because almost no electric vehicles advertise. And if you don't pay the piper, you don't get to dance. And that's the way it works. If you aren't giving them a bribe, and that's what it is, hey, put an ad on the Super Bowl, or put an ad on whatever the favorite TV show is right now. Put an ad on there and pay us a shitload of money. And that's what they want. That's how they make their money. They don't make that. If you don't put an ad, in fact, if you talk to journalists and whatnot, there's advertising space and a news hole. That's the way they call it. They call it out as a news hole. It's not the primary focus of a newspaper to give you the news. The primary focus is make money. And how do I make money? Selling ads. And whatever ad I have will determine how much news I can put in the news hole. So
that's nothing new. It's old
no, it's
news.
always been like that.
It's always been like that.
But it's never been so vicious. I mean, now it's...
Okay, so what's the proper news I should be looking at for 2024? Because subsidies are going down in many countries, even in my home country, but everywhere. So from what my understanding, some big manufacturers, EV manufacturers, are also scaling down on their investments. Is Tesla slowing down their investment in Mexico, or with the Model 2 and everything?
No, what's happening, I think, with Tesla is that so Mexico is a fabulous place to build. The people there like to work hard. They produce high quality products. I like Mexico a lot. But getting the plant up, he thought it was going to be like China. No, that is not the same. Bureaucracy in Mexico is really tough, and there's a lot of greasing that goes on. Simple as that. I mean, I can talk about it because I have nothing going on in Mexico, but I did when I was working for Ford and we put up the Chihuahua plant. The money man was there making sure that we didn't get into trouble, or we could get out of trouble, or what have you. So it's still not the United States, and it never will be. It has a different culture. This is accepted there and not accepted here. So I think that Tesla is finding out about that, and that's why, again, in that interview, Elon said, yeah, we're going to be making the small car here at our facility. Now, to put things into perspective, we had to drive by the Gigafactory several times, and every time we drove by, there was a constant stream of cement trucks. I mean, these things are maybe 100 feet apart, and they just keep on going. And they go in, they dump, they run around, they go get more concrete and more concrete and more. They're pouring stuff faster than you could shake a stick at, putting up walls like overnight at the Gigafactory.
Which one? The one in Texas?
The Austin, yeah. Yeah, well, again, you go back to what happens when you try and do things in other states. We'll have to look at that. Come back in 6 months when I'm not so busy. Okay, government's really slow. But what Tesla did...
They've done it also in Germany.
Well, they do it everywhere. Yeah, well, they did get around the stuff in Germany. They did get China. Now, theirs fast. Shenzhen fast is what they call it. And man, I watched buildings fly up when I was there. Like, incredible. One day it's like a couple of shacks and some dirt. And the next thing you know, they've got a huge building, all done, finest technology on the planet. I mean, everything, the workmanship is so staggeringly good.
Do you think it's giving the manufacturers a little bit of, a breathing space just to put up the factories in the meanwhile, while the subsidies go down? Because the demand seems to be still high. I just checked the other day. I was driving a Rivian and I want to see how much should I wait for a new car? And it's 4 months still. So do you think we're going to see these 4 months becoming 6 or 8 or becoming 1 or 2?
I think it won't be long before you'll be able to get it quickly. A month, if you have a month backlog, or sorry, not a backlog, if you have a month wait time, that's a long time. Normally you have about a month sitting in the parking lots, waiting to be bought. That's what it normally is. So again, we go back to what's the difference between when I make a prediction and somebody else does. I know where all the parking lots are, and I know that there's not many things in those parking lots.
Still?
I mean, everybody said, let's talk about the Lightning. So they made the announcement that the Lightning was going to production was going to be cut in half. Okay, there's two reasons for that.
The Ford Lightning, the pickup.
Ford, yeah, the pickup truck. So there's two reasons for that. One, it was right after the union contract, and they had no idea how they were going to pay the bills. So the fastest way to do that is don't have half the people making cars. So you lay a bunch of them off. But that month, they sold more Lightnings than they ever sold ever. The days, like shortly after the days when they said, "Oh, we're not going to, we're not going to make 150,000 a year." There's a lot going on that I don't know about in the car companies. I have no clue what General Motors is doing. I'm pretty sure that Volkswagen is going to have. I don't know what's going to happen to Volkswagen. Now they've been kicked out of first place by BYD for EVs. How long before, and General Motors just made the announcement that for the first time since 2007, they've sold more cars in the United States than in China. China makes them a shitload of money. They make a lot of money in China. To hear something like that, I actually went back and tried to check it out because I thought, this can't be correct. But it is. And if General Motors is dropping to the home country to make money, I mean, I heard from, I still have a lot of friends in China, and I heard from them that now people are, because the United States basically is disrespecting the Chinese. So the Chinese culture is very different. They're your friend until they think that you're taking advantage of them or maybe dissing them, and then they change, and they've changed significantly when it comes to Volkswagen and General Motors. Those two for sure.
Also with Apple.
With who?
Apple.
Apple has no chance of making it there because Huawei and ZTE are not allowed here. Why should I buy their product when they won't let our Chinese products come to the United States? So
even the consumers stop buying the iPhones in large quantities, and we've seen the Apple stock going way down in the first few days of 2024.
Yeah, well,
so the economic war is going on.
Well, it's more than it's an industrial war. When you look at the economies and stuff like that, everybody will look at the numbers, the financial numbers. In reality, when you have this kind of a situation, you're looking at an industrial war. And the industrial war is not a war that Europe and United States were prepared for. Oh, we have servants to take care of that. Oh, we have servants to take care of that.
But we knew it was coming.
No, we did not. Again, I go back to the analysts. What did they say? Oh, outsource, outsource, outsource. All the big consulting companies, outsource. Get them out there. Just go and buy that cheap labor out in China. Oh, we don't want to have that dirty stuff down here. Do it in China. Okay, they did. The car companies and every other company, they believed what the big consulting, the big 10 consulting companies and Wall Street said. And they're almost always wrong. I don't know why. But anyways, when I went there, okay, I went through lots of battery plants, watched them struggling to try and figure out how to put these batteries out. I went through an engineering site. I'll bet you it's as big as this West Hall. Engineers working on different products and really coming up with some spectacular stuff. Okay, we don't have that. Oh, can't you outsource that to India? Can't you take that and put it into China? I hear that, there's a sale on, it doesn't really matter. They just want to have the cheapest possible part that they don't have to invest in. So if you don't invest, you don't own, and if you don't own, you have to get, it's gonna be tough catching up. And it's been the same thing, right? I've stopped using it because everybody says I'm too politically incorrect, but I have an image, and the image is of a rickshaw, and sitting in the rickshaw is a rickshaw driver. He's got a little Chinese hat on, and he's like this. Who's pulling it? An English gentleman with his little pith helmet on, and he's holding those things up. Every once in a while, the slave becomes the master, and that is what's happening right now. The Chinese are the masters. Nobody wants to come out and say it, but I will. I made a prediction last time I was right, and this is the deal. The slaves that they hired, we'll just have the Chinese do it. The slaves have all the technology. The slaves have all the knowledge. The slaves have all the raw materials. The slaves know what they're doing. What about the masters? What are they going to do now? Are you going to tell me that whatever president gets in the United States are going to tell China, "Oh, forget it. We're not going to buy any more of your lithium. No, we're not going to buy any more of your carbon." That. Oh yeah. Guess how long it's going to last? It ain't going to last long because we haven't got anything here. It takes 5 years after you've got the permits in place to mine, and then it takes another who knows how long to put up or to get the permits again to refine.
It's the same in Europe. We have the same issues over there. Everything is moving so slow, and the big automotive companies are moving slow. They are not competing.
No, they can't.
In the same offering. They're just competing on branding, marketing.
Exactly right. Yeah.
But in terms of real value, where is the value?
There is. It's not there, and it won't be there because they gave it all away. When you go if you go through China. And if you go and watch how they work, really hard. I would say that they're probably in the 90s as far as efficiency is concerned. And over here in the States, 85, something like that. I mean, when you watch these Chinese guys, they are into it because there's an expression, it's old, but it works, and I'll try and remember it. In order for a civilization to succeed, it must read, breed, and believe.
Okay.
So Americans don't believe in America anymore. That's why they don't have kids. If you
Same
look
with
at
the Europeans,
and they don't breed. So they don't believe, they don't breed, and reading is that's kind of like one of those strange terms. If you read
but
crap,
the Chinese are also declining in demographics.
I can tell you right now that was because of the single child policy, and that was put in by Mao Zedong. And when Chairman Xi came in, he got rid of it. I was there when they said, "Have whatever kids you want." Elon Musk is jumping up and down. And by the way, there were more illegal immigrants cross the border last year
than
newborn babies. Well, what's going to happen here? When you talk to politicians, analysts, I'm leading the parade for the new wave. These people, this isn't new ideas. They're just old ideas that you can't remember anymore because those civilizations
are gone.
I mean, there's
a river of people flowing into the border now from the south.
Yeah.
And we are also bracing ourselves in Europe for a new wave of migrants from the, Middle East, Africa.
I'm telling you what, I've seen some of the speeches, and I have no clue who would be brave enough in the United States to say that we have to ship some of these people back. Our culture is going away, blah, blah, blah. They're catching on. Some guy in Holland, guy in Sweden, a couple of these different people are starting to jump up and down saying, "Hey, this isn't right."
Yeah.
But Americans they'll catch on. No, they won't. No.
It takes a few generations to make someone be from that new place.
Well, in the olden days, that's not quite true. My mother came from Germany and my dad came from Scotland. When they came to Canada, they immediately said, "We're Canadian." when I was a kid, when I was young, if you talk to anybody on the U.S. side of Canada, if you walked around, so what's your nationality? I'm an American. Didn't matter if you're black, didn't matter if you're Hispanic, didn't matter if you came from Italy, didn't matter if your parents came from wherever, I'm an American. Not now. Now I'm an African American, I'm an Italian American, I'm a this. So you put something else in front of what's important.
Isn't that racism?
Racism? Everything here is racism. I mean, really, at the end of the day, I mean, I don't want to get into that.
Yeah, let's not get into that. Let's
get down to a real path.
Let's get back to the cars.
Yeah.
So again, predictions for 2024. You are right for 2023, model-wise, best-selling car on the planet.
Right.
What about this year?
Same thing. I
thing.
think we talked about that a bit ago, but yes, I think it's going to be the same thing. But you really, what you want to do is, which ones are going to decline?
Yes.
Or is that where you're leading up to?
Also, who's rising up? Who's going to go into decline? Because I understand BYD is rising, but it seems to be rising mostly in China.
Yeah, and the reason that they're doing that is because sooner or later, raw materials are going to get very short supply in Europe and the United States. Raw materials aren't there. Okay, so what have the Chinese done to get ready for the, the onslaught that's going to happen? Hey, we need this, we need that in the United States or Europe. Well, they're become big friends with Brazil. They become big friends with Chile and Argentina, and they're big friends now with Indonesia, Malaysia. This is where the real big storehouses of raw materials are. And what have we done? Nothing. Zero. Nothing. There's nothing going on in the United States. And the reason for that is because Wall Street doesn't like to invest. I'm telling you what, there are hundreds of people out here that could use some money. Hundreds of companies.
Of course.
Can't get it. Unless you go to Vietnam, they've got money, China, and in some cases, South America. That's where they're getting their money from. They're not getting it from the U.S. Nobody wants, I can make more money with bonds. Bonds, as far as I'm concerned, when I saw how much the United States owes on those bonds.
They just agreed on the new debt ceiling.
Yeah.
That happens a lot. But again, for the time being, I'm not seeing BYD cars on the street here.
No.
Also,
you
in
know
Europe.
that the biggest electric bus company in the world, or in the United States, is in Los Angeles, and it's BYD.
Yes.
And so how long do you think it'll take before they say, well, we build buses here, why can't we build cars here? And what's California going to say? Well, being as GM ain't supplying them, and nobody likes the VWs, and only BMWs are expensive, and well, I guess we'll have to let you in so that the people who want electric cars will buy them. And that's what happened in the Japanese invasion. When the Japanese came in the early 80s, they cleaned everybody's clock. Why? The cars were really good. They were really well made. They were small. People wanted something small because there was an oil embargo with the Arab states. They wanted a fuel efficient vehicle because the price of gas was going to the moon. And what did they get? Well, the Japanese can supply that. So what did the other car companies come out with? Oh, buy American. Come on, that doesn't work anymore. That route of marketing doesn't work.
But the politicians are loud and clear about keeping China away and reshoring and doing all that.
They need to get elected in November. What do you think is going to happen in December? Or let me rephrase that, January.
I don't know.
Everybody will be tired of hearing from politicians, so they'll do what they need to do, which will be to let the Chinese in. They'll be bringing them in with materials and stuff like that. They'll just quietly allow things to happen. It'll simple as that. What happens? Okay, so GM now.
The largest economy on the planet will allow this.
The largest economy
that's
on
an
the
invasion.
planet today. And
Yes.
how long can you stay in that position if you don't have the raw materials to keep it going? So what happens here? What happens if the United States says, yeah, we don't want your cars in the U.S.? And what happens if Chairman Xi says, you know what? all these U.S. and European car companies, we're going to seize them. We're going to expropriate them. We're going to take them in, and they're now Chinese properties. Thanks for the memories. Now what happens? How big is the economy if Ford, General Motors, Stellantis, VW, Mercedes, all these other big shots in China? What happens if all of a sudden they've been basically taken over by the
Russia?
Like in Russia. What would happen? What would the economy look like in the United States if all of a sudden we can't get any of the minerals, we can't get any of the bits and pieces that are bought in China? Because there's a lot comes out of China, a tremendous amount of subsistence.
In percentages, how much do you think?
I would say probably around 20% of is
even of American products.
Yeah, American products aren't really American. They're a conglomeration. Some stuff comes from Japan or China or Europe or whatever. It's not just made here.
I was thinking about the Model 3, the Model Y, the Model S, or
that's
the
a totally
Rivian.
different. I don't even put when it comes to Tesla. I don't talk about Tesla as being a normal plant, a normal operation. It's not. They're vertically integrated. They do almost everything themselves. Elon Musk owns interests in nickel mines, lithium processing.
And he just said that
charcoal.
he has more than enough lithium. There's lithium is in abundance.
Right, and it is. It's just hard to get the permit. So if you look at the United States and Canada, North America, right in the center of North America is a big giant desert. Or not a desert. They used to call it the prairies or the plains or something like that. That big area is loaded with lithium and other rare earth materials. But there are lizards that need to be protected, and there are sad-faced people who need to protect those lizards. And they will do anything in their power to keep the United States from getting stronger by digging up that soil.
What do you think about the theory that the Chinese are behind the eco people that try to save the lizards and do not allow mining?
Anything's possible. I truly believe that the Russians, I talked to a Russian guy who was, I guess, fairly high up in the KGB, and he said that they had big discussions about how do we get rid of the United States, and they figured that the best thing to do there was to destroy the family unit. If you destroy the family unit, the whole place will fall apart, and they were correct. And so how do you do that? How do you destroy it? Drugs. You can't go wrong. Tell the professors or pay the professors to push radical new ways of getting things done, and make it so that a professor can get all the drugs he wants. And guess what? The next thing you know, the generation that's coming through college starts puffing on this stuff or snorting it or sticking it in their arm, and all of a sudden things are changing. Hey, I feel great after that. It's 10 times better than beer. And if you think I'm kidding, I lived it. I was in college. My first exposure to marijuana and a whole bunch of other drugs was from a professor, a liberal arts professor in a technical school. We had to take this damn thing, media arts or something, I can't remember. Anyways, we had to take this thing. This guy's saying, that don't work, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna give everybody an A. Here, try it, let's all smoke up. And everybody smoked then, everybody. So now it's a new kind of cigarette. You go in and hold it, and man, after 4 or 5 puffs, hey, this is damn good. How much is this? $5? And I'm going to pay $25 for a case of beer? Well, I'll take this all day long. Whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter. It works. Whoever came up with the idea, it worked. And if that's the case, I guess that might happen, but I doubt very much. I think mostly it comes from schools. I think teachers, and again, I wasn't a big fan of school, so I throw a lot of rocks. But I know that a lot of teachers figure that, we've got to save the planet and stuff like that. And in China, I don't remember one person ever saying save the planet. All they were saying
the
was,
planet is good. It's about the humans.
well, yeah, that's
It's the problem with the humans because, again, many of the people watching this maybe think that people that buy an electric car are they want to save the planet. Most of the time, it's not true. They just
No.
want a better car.
exactly, and that's why I buy. I don't think I'm saving the planet, but I'm saving a shitload of money. I went from $250 a month for gasoline to $11 a month driving electric. Where's the disadvantage there? The car goes faster than anything I've ever had before. I have a my wife has a Rivian. Off road, nothing. I had Rambler, like cheap.
So
cheap
you're
Wrangler.
holding on to the Rivian.
Yeah. My wife won't let me drive it again because I bumped into something. I don't want to get into
Again?
Yeah, again.
Last year you went
was the second
off-road too
time.
much.
Oh man. Anyhow, I don't want to get into it, but I'm definitely when my Cybertruck is coming. When I have that, if I bang into something, no one will ever know because it's really quite solid.
Let's talk about that. That's funnier.
Oh, yeah.
You've seen the car. You walked
drove
around
it for 3 hours.
You're waiting for your own Cybertruck to come. How do you feel about the?
I'm very, very excited. I can tell you right now that the one that I'm buying is probably going to be the last vehicle I buy. I don't see me buying anything else again. I'm 75. Well, not yet. On the 19th, I'll be 75. But anyways, I'm 75, and quite frankly, there's no reason for me to have a car if I start getting into about 80 or 90. Although I am racing at Sebring next week. Yeah, how about that? 75 racing at Sebring. But anyway, I even have. I don't know. Put it over there. Anyhow, yeah, I think that the Cybertruck is going to be great for me. But I think it's going to be.
It's a big
It
car.
does everything I wanted.
It's a big boxy car. It's a menace.
It's a menace. As far as I'm concerned, it looks like heaven to me. At the end of the day, I'm old, and why shouldn't I get something that I've always wanted? I wanted to have something that would do everything I wanted to do as a sportsman. I want to take it hunting, and I can do it. I can hide my toys in the back. If I want to have a quad or a motorcycle, I just reel it up. And by the way, that's one thing I was very disappointed in. That ramp that they showed, it doesn't happen. So there's no ramp, but I can buy a ramp and I can drive my quad. I have to buy a new one. Another sad tale.
Okay.
Anyhow, okay, so I can put a quad in there and I can take it out to the woods and I can have a great time. And what about range anxiety? What are you kidding me? I am not buying the extended range. What for? Why do I need it? I got 500 miles. What do I need any more than that? I'm not going, oh yeah, but what about, shut up. If I'm going to go into the woods and I'm going to be out for 4 or 5 days, I've got solar panels that I can put up and get a charge. It's all baloney. This is just...
And it's stainless steel. It's going to be there forever, unless you really, really break it.
I've already seen everybody's seen the first Tesla accident. Although I've been credited for the first accident because I ran over. I was driving in to show the car off to the rest of the YouTube community that came to the Luster Pearl event. And so there was 100 or so people there, and they were moving the gate open. I guess so they're moving the gate open, and I ran over the thing the stabilizer because it was only going to go that far. There was no way, so I just ran over that stabilizer and got in, and immediately hit the news that Sandy just had the first accident with a Cybertruck. I ran over a piece of pipe. So anyway, I thought driving it was marvelous. It drives like a dream. It's fast, not as fast as a Model Y or.
It doesn't feel as fast.
It doesn't. No, it isn't as fast. Simple as that.
It's a big heavy car.
It is. It's a big heavy car, but it's no heavier than a normal F-250. same weight as an F-250. And I've taken an F-250 out,
That's still a big
out
heavy
in the
car.
woods. It is. But you know what? Sometimes, okay, so if I go out hunting and I whack a moose or an elk or a deer, am I going to want to have an ID4 to take it home? I don't think so. I want to have something where I'm going to have, I want a winch somewhere in the back so I can pull that thing in, and I'm not going to try and pick it up.
That's not a city car.
Well, I don't live in a city, so I live in a country, and
but
to me,
it drives with all wheels.
yeah, and that's marvelous. I'm telling you what, the turning radius of a Beetle, I could not believe what that's like in a parking lot. So one of the big reasons I don't own a pickup truck is because maneuvering it in a parking lot is a miserable experience. With the Cybertruck and rear-wheel drive, front and rear-wheel electric steering, man, it's a dream. It takes a couple of shots to get used to the fact that where I think I should be driving like that, and all of a sudden it's like this. It's really fabulous. I really like it. That is one of the single biggest driving experience changes that you have to get used to.
But it's still a big car that you need to park somewhere.
And that's what I say. Normally I can't get into some of these parking spots because they're just too small. But now I can drive along, and instead of going trying to get it in, I'm just going to go zip, and I'm done.
I was looking at the Rivian. I've been driving it for the past few days, and it's the same problem with parking spots. It's not such big of a pickup, but it's still a pickup.
But here, the Rivian has the one thing about the Rivian that I've learned after 2 years or 3 years, I think, is if you're going into a parking lot going backwards, you steer in backwards, that's how you get around it. Steering in frontwards is no fun at all.
But the Cybertruck is not going to fit in any European standard parking spots.
No, I don't believe that truck should be. Who's going to buy it in? Why would somebody buy it in Europe?
For show.
For show. Well, I'll tell you what.
They would
first time you go down one of those little French alleys or little Italian streets, and you go, and you're stuck between two buildings. That'll be the show, and you can't. How do you get out? I mean, really, when you pinch both doors.
Do you think they have any plans to bring it to Europe eventually?
I think that you know what? I think that eventually every car gets to Europe or the Far East or whatever. Why someone would do that is beyond me. I can't make a prediction on that. I don't know why they do that kind of stuff, but I have seen great big giant Cadillacs, in Europe, and wondering why would anybody do that? I mean,
coming back on the machining and the way it's built, it's a stainless steel car with very strong panels. Actually, the structure is on the outside. How do you feel about that way of making cars? Because we've seen not even casting taking off enough in the automotive industry.
You gotta be kidding! Every car company on the planet is going to casting.
Okay.
When I gave the speech at the casting conference in Italy, there's one machine here. Oh, it's going to Ford, but don't tell anybody. Oh, this one's going to Hyundai, but don't tell anybody. Well, that one over there is going to whomever. Don't tell anybody.
So they're doing it.
Holy mackerel! Oh yeah, everybody's going that way, because to take 9% out of the cost of a car is staggering, and that's what we calculated out. And then you look at the casting area versus the stamping area. Again, you're taking a quarter, 25% of the space that you'd normally need is gone.
Yes.
And how about the people and the robots and the welding equipment and all the other crap that goes along with it? Storage for all those stampings. Oh man. And then there's no need for outside help. So you're not going to have a bunch of trucks showing up at the backyard or the back door with a bunch of bits and pieces. All this stuff goes away. The logistics problems they're gone. How many purchasing agents did I eliminate? So I went in and I went right back into overhead, and I'm telling you what, it's staggering how much better.
So imagine if the Chinese are making with stamping $25,000 car, what with casting?
Well, you'd still pay $25,000. They just make more money. Chinese are not stupid. If they could sell a $25,000 car with stampings, and they go to castings, it'll still be 25,000, but they'll make probably about 6 or 7%, maybe 8% more profit.
Are they doing it? Because from what I'm hearing,
Oh, you got to stop listening to whoever you're hearing. The biggest number of castings being manufactured right now are in China, not in the United States, not in Italy. They're being done in China.
Because I knew the Italians were big on casting. The biggest casting machines are made there.
Well, there's two, right? So you've got IGDLCC, which is in Italy, but owned by a Chinese company. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
So you should come and talk to me more often. And then you've got the other one from Switzerland, and I just went blank. I can't. But anyways, there's a Swiss company. Both of them are equally good. Both the Italians and the Swiss. The Swiss are owned in Switzerland. So you got two there, but you've got 5 that I can think of.
So the
China.
Chinese are switching to casting. Are the Europeans?
Not as quickly, but I'm pretty sure that BMW and Mercedes is looking at it. Stellantis, no. VW, they're just trying to save the company right now. I don't know of anything going on with VW.
You're still pessimistic about VW?
It's not
pessimism. They became competitive with the ID4 and the ID5. They're selling pretty good in Europe.
Okay, so I can just tell you this. Many of the people in the United States that bought an ID4 have received no over-the-air updates. You have to go back to the VW dealership, plug in, and then they will update your car. People don't want to go to the dealership, and by the way, they get charged for it as well. I'm telling you right now, what I heard from my friends at VW is they've got to get rid of 1/3 of the population. They've got to get 1/3 of their costs out, and that means shutting down at least 1/3 of their manufacturing facilities. And that was based on actually having good profitability and whatnot out of the Chinese operations. What the hell are they going to do now?
They're trying to be competitive in Europe. I don't know if you've seen the new Taigo. There's a small, very cheap car. They became competitive even against the Stellantis or the Renaults and whatnot.
Really?
Yeah, they're fighting for every bit of the market.
Okay, so I can tell you right now that no company I know of makes money on small cars.
It's the same with small TVs, I'm hearing.
Small anything, small product, small profit. Big product, big profit. I mean, really. Yeah.
So it looks like VW is catching up, but you don't feel it. No.
No, they basically blew it so in 2019, I was interviewed, and they said, well, you see Tesla doing this and doing that. What do you think of them? And I said, well, I've never taken one of their cars apart, but we're getting one in 2020, and I'll be able to tell you more then. So who do you think is going to be the world leader in electric vehicles? Volkswagen. Are you sure? Absolutely positive. I mean, they've got everything in place, ready to rock. They should be able to crush everyone else. Volkswagen, no question in my mind.
Didn't
wrong.
happen.
The only time I've ever been wrong. And when I got that ID4 and I couldn't make it work at Electrify America, the thing just stopped. What the hell's going on? I had 2 photographers in there, and it just stopped.
Many people complain about the ID4 issues, which seem now to go away. What about the French? How do you feel about the Renault guys?
Stellantis has the highest number of electric vehicles of all the Europeans right now. Okay, now they have all shapes, sizes, costs, whatever, but they aren't popular at all in the United States. 0. It's only Europe and China.
E208, EC3, those seem to sell pretty good as small electric cars. But again, you said they don't make much profit out of them.
No, if they make any. So it's very, very, like I say, it's very, very, very difficult. It's very, very, very difficult to make money on small vehicles. It just doesn't happen.
Okay. So again, your bet for 2024 is still on the Model Y?
Yeah.
But what about 2025? What kind of cars will we see? Is it gonna that shift that
The hybrid shift?
yeah?
That's kind of like what everybody's predicting, but I'm telling you right now, the hybrid shift is going to be the pet rock of the future. You remember pet rocks?
No.
Americans bought these, it was a little box, and inside was a rock, and it had a name on it. And people were buying them for 15 or 20 bucks.
Okay.
What the hell for? It's just a rock out of a driveway. Why would you buy it? But everybody had to have it. There's been fads like that in the United States in the past. Well, that's what I believe that hybrid's going to be. I believe it's going to be a fad.
A fad. Okay, so hybrids are going away. Electrics are still
Oh,
rising.
no. They're going to go like this and then like that.
The hybrids.
Hybrids, yeah.
I've seen the commercial on TV for a Lexus small battery for city roads and fuel for long trips. They're still doing that. And
So,
also
let
the
me ask you a
self-charging hybrid. Have you seen that?
Self-charging?
Self-charging, yeah. It's charging itself.
Okay, so that's called serial hybrid. So the engine runs a generator then goes into the battery.
And when you brake, you put electricity in the battery.
Yeah, well, you do that all the time already. The regen is already there, but
Yeah.
if you're talking about a serial, I think it's called a serial hybrid. BMW i3 was the first one.
Yeah.
And the only other one that I know of is
Prius?
it used to be called the Karma. It's called the Karma now. It used to be called the Fisker, and that's the only two that I know of, and neither one are successful. None of them have the EPA ratings that you'd want to have if you're going to be spending money on a vehicle.
Yeah.
So,
But if you go outside, electric vehicles are not by any measure leading. There's still a
no,
lot of,
not in the U.S. But I will tell you that it won't take too long before people catch on. It's going to. I mean, anytime that you've got a huge propaganda kind of situation going on, and the media they're not getting money from Tesla. They're not getting money from even like EVs that are made here in the U.S. They're not getting that revenue. Well, they have a gigantic number of people who come up with things like range anxiety or what have you. There's a whole bunch of these little
buy a
things.
hybrid and stuff like that.
Yeah, so
And
you
the
have a
Super Bowl
hybrid-
ads are all for, let's say, combustion engines.
Exactly. And the reason for that is because they know combustion engines. They don't have to reinvest in a combustion engine plant. They have transmissions. Some of them come from China, but most of them are being built by ZF.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, the way it works is if you don't pay me my bribe, I'm going to find some way to make your life miserable, and that's what they do.
But electric cars are already here for the past few years. Good electric cars, affordable cars, for the past 4 years. Still, they're not a majority. And
Well,
it's going to
because
take a
there's
few
no
more years to get there.
There's no education going on. There's two warring factions, right? You've got Republicans and Democrats, and they hate each other. It's like, it wasn't like in the olden days where a Republican would have a view and a Democrat would have a view, and they discuss it, and then they say, it's the United States. We're allowed to have our own opinion, and they would walk away. Now they have a riot. The slanderous comments, and it's just like unbelievable. Because again, at the beginning, I talked about, I'm an Italian American or I'm an English. Well, American come in second on that stuff, and if America comes in second, you're going to have violently different opinions. So I have a neighbor, and I talked to him, and I said, you know, he says, oh, you're driving those electric cars, man, they're never going to last. What do you mean? Well, the batteries are going to wear out. What are you talking about? Well, they only last like 10,000, 20,000 miles. I said, I got guys in California that have got over 1 million miles on their vehicles. Who told you that? Well, that's what everybody knows. And then he on and on and on. You know, well, the tires wear out faster. No, they don't. The tires last like longer because you're not using the brake. The regen charges your battery, and so you don't use the same amount of brake pads, and your tires don't want it. Are you sure? Well, yeah, I'm in this business. I know exactly. But who's on TV educating the normal people? Nobody. And the reason for that is because, again, hey, we need commercial money.
It's not only that. I feel like it's a lot of propaganda pushed from oil-producing countries.
Well, that is 100% true. But who owns Lucid, and who owns Sear? The Saudi Arabians. Okay. And who's looking for more investment in battery packs? The Saudi Arabians, UAE, Dubai and Abu Dhabi. They can see the writing on the wall, and they're good businessmen. They'll figure it out.
Okay, we're getting there. We're not there yet. Again, through the comments in all my videos for the past, 4 or 5 years since I've been talking a lot about EVs, I can see people talking about recyclability and everything. People don't actually understand that batteries last for at least 8 years, at least 8 full years, at least.
Longer, way longer than that. Batteries, a modern battery is a joy to behold. It's not like, hey, it burned up in the backyard. In fact, now what's happening is the press has gone over the edge. They're supposed to tell the truth. Anyway, so they show a picture of a burning, it's an Escalade. I can see it's an Escalade. There's no car, no electric Tesla that looks like that car. And it's on fire. And the reporter comes on, we're right here at I-75 and blah, blah. And you can see that Tesla is on fire and blah, blah. They can't put it out. It's not a Tesla. It's not an electric car. It's an Escalade.
Tesla's stopped burning for a year or two.
Yeah, a long time.
People think that batteries wear off, they burn, and then you cannot recycle them.
And recycling. Okay, so there's a company that I've been actually, sometime today I'm going to talk to a bunch of investors about 2 battery companies. One's called One, Our Next Energy, and the other one is going to be called Recyclico. And Recyclico recycles batteries. And they have an amazing new system where they don't break it down to the individual elements or alloys. They give you the mixture you want. It goes in this end, comes in out that end, and it goes into different pipes and say, okay, this is anode material, this is cathode material, this is a cathode material that has extra whatever, on and on and on. They can do that. Well, that skips a stage.
Yes.
And quite frankly, the what I'm getting back from the recyclers is we can't get batteries fast enough.
Again, that's what I'm hearing. So people thinking that all those cars sitting on the fields, nobody's recycling them, and you're spoiling the planet and whatnot.
Yeah, right.
What about the electric cars that are parked in the fields in China? Have you seen those?
Yeah, of course I have. And
look why China is building so many electric cars. They're all on the fields.
So here's the way it works. When production is running, you push the cars out, and then they go to a holding pen. Remember I talked to you about how many days they hold on to a car? About a month. That's okay. A month is okay. More than that, you got a problem. So these things come out and are sitting. When you're producing cars at 500,000 a year or something, like 250,000 a year, you're going to have recycling pens, or not recycling pens, but you're going to have pens, holding pens for those vehicles. Okay, so they show them and they say, look, they're all dusty. Well, you pull back a bit and they're surrounded by dirt roads. Why? Because it's a field that some farmer has rented to you, and that's where you park them. I mean,
but there are also Chinese startups that go bankrupt, and they in the rideshare industry, and they buy the cars and they put them in a pen in a parking place like that, and they eventually sit there until the bankruptcy is over.
Well, they can do that, but what a lot of people are doing is, if the company goes bankrupt, and now those cars are at a huge discount because all they're trying to do is recover whatever they can, they go on a boat and they head for South America, or they head for Indonesia, or they head somewhere along the line. They're being utilized, and that's kind of like another one of those things that if you're sitting in an office in New York City, you're never going to know about that.
Okay. We're getting ready to wrap this up, but you promised you're going to tell me something about something interesting in the combustion engine industry.
Two things. One is it's the new energy that we're going to need. And there's two things, and one of them actually I poo-pooed, and now I'm changing my mind, and that's hydrogen. I'm starting to look at hydrogen as the fuel for hybrids. And if you look down here, I can't remember where it is, but somewhere down here, there's a bright yellow Jeep Grand Cherokee. And it's old, like it's from, I don't know, maybe the 60s or 70s, I'm not sure. But anyways, if you have a look at that thing, that engine, that great big giant V8 engine, has been modified and it's now running hydrogen. I'll take that all day long. That works. Now, the problem? The hydrogen bottles that eat up the last, that's a 3-row, it used to be a 3-row seats, 3 rows of seats. Now it's 2 rows because there's hydrogen bottles in there. It's no different than using natural gas. So I was against hydrogen because it costs so much to manufacture. Well, now, son of a gun, all of a sudden we're finding out that there's pockets of white hydrogen. There's different kinds of blue hydrogen is where you take it from water and on and on. But anyways, there's white hydrogen. You drill a hole in the right place and there's hydrogen naturally found inside the earth. It'd be just like pulling natural gas out. And now they can identify these pockets and know what's going on underneath them. So that's one of them. And the other one is the Doosan down here has got a nuclear power plant that they've that they're
a small modular.
It's a modular nuclear power plant, and quite frankly, nuclear power to me is, I don't understand. I do know why it got a bad name, but France, 90% of the power in France is nuclear.
Yes.
And actually Britain just popped up 2 or 3 nuclear power plants. These are good, safe. I mean, we're not living in the 50s anymore or 70s or whenever they.
But regular nuclear plants are safe. We know about them. But what about the small ones, the modular ones?
Okay. So Munro, our company, we talk a lot about what's going on in electrification and stuff like that, and we have a YouTube channel and everything. But our real job is new product development. So we work on everything from Barbie to the space station. I mean, right now we're working on barbecues. I can't tell you the name, but barbecues. Later on, I'm going to go and look at something that's going to be revealed later in the show, which is a charging system that we helped develop. We cut tremendous amount of costs, got rid of all kinds of problems that they had, and now it's into production. So, and then of course electric vehicles. We have 3, or actually 3.5. I'm going to probably collect another one here today. Vehicles where we're doing a lot of the design, or at least driving the design. So that's where we are. We're a new product development kind of company, and it doesn't really matter whether it's medical or anything else. We do a lot of stuff. One of the things that we're working on right now is a mobile nuclear reactor. And why? Because if you get into a situation where you've had a hurricane go through somewhere, how do you get the power back up and running without killing people? A mobile nuclear reactor would work out really well. You drive it in, you park, hook it up, and away it goes. Now these are a little different than what we had in the past. First off, we don't use uranium, we're using thorium, which is a little easier to get and quite a bit safer. And it's called a molten salt reactor. So the salt is heated up and it melts, okay? Then the two probes come in and they get so far apart, and then they supply the heat to make the molten salt stay molten, and the rest is just steam and whatnot. So now you've got this thing working. What happens if something goes wrong? Those two probes flash back, and that salt is not being hot anymore. It's not molten anymore. As soon as those two things go back, it takes seconds, and the molten salt turns into a big lump of salt. So this is the kind of thing that military is looking for. It. Anybody that has anything to do with, remote areas. I mean, now what we do is we use diesel generators. They stink. I have to continuously bring in more oil. The worst job you can have in any of the military operations is being a truck driver for bringing in more diesel fuel.
So you need to do the maintenance for the generators.
No, you have to feed the generator.
Feed the generators, but also do the maintenance, because if you don't use them, you need to go clean them up.
Right, exactly.
So you're a fan of nuclear. Do you see a small modular nuclear becoming a thing in the next few years? Because I've seen some investment scaling down.
Okay, so what we've seen is pretty much the opposite. And the reason for that is the Ukraine, looking at what happened in the Ukraine, we're
You're talking about Zaporizhia?
Yeah. So I'm looking at how do you sustain your troops, and how do you bring a country back to life that's been basically blasted into oblivion? I believe that that's where the ones that we're working on, I believe that that's going to be a new home for that type of community kind of reactor that'll take care of a community until the regular system can get put up. But Doosan, what they're doing is they're creating a system that is like this would be a much bigger community. Their system is 10 times the size of the one I'm working on.
So city size?
Town-wide.
Town-wide, okay. We got a lot. We got over the time you allowed.
No problem.
I'm grateful for all the knowledge, all the information you're bringing. We really appreciate you, and I hope I'm going to see you next year when you're going to be 75 officially. Going on 76.
I'll be officially 75.
And I'm
Almost
officially
76.
driving a Cybertruck.
And officially driving a Cybertruck. So I got this for you. There you go.
Okay.
Oh, you can skip that. Sorry, just flip up that.
It's a good message. Okay.
Yeah, well, that's good, but this is better. Here you go.
Oh.
So now
I got my own Cybertruck now.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, very good.
That's good. And it's L on time, Munro Live, and it's got a magnet. I'm gonna put it on my fridge.
Yeah, there you go. And pop beer. Your beer fridge.
It's the same stainless steel they use on cold roll steel.
No. The steel that they have comes from, I think, Belgium, and it's a very special alloy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a nice one. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome.
I was supposed to bring something, but next time I'll bring a double.
Oh, very good. Doubles is what I always order.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Sir. Thank you.
Thank you,
Have a
George.
good show.
Thank you.
I want to thank our viewers. If you enjoyed what you've seen, hit the like button, share with your friends, and subscribe also to Munro Live, where you can see Sandy Munro himself tearing down cars, doing his own thing. Thank you so much, and we'll see you for the next one. Bye.